Hey everybody, it's Norm from Tested.
And Frank from Tested.
And we have a special friend here. It's
Arthas, the Lich King.
the Lich King. Well, it's our friend Steve Meisner.
Yes.
Who's wearing as the Lich King. This is an amazing costume that some of you out there may have seen online. Blizzard used it in a commercial.
Yeah, they got a couple of commercials that they're running, and there's an activation that's going to be happening at San Diego Comic-Con.
San Diego Comic-Con, which I think is happening this week. We're a little before Comic-Con right now, but we're down to Frank's shop to learn about this costume because this is an incredible build. Oh my God.
A lot of work. We built this in about 5 weeks.
And seeing it up close, the detail really holds up. There's so much going on here. Where do you want to start and tell me, how did you start just sculpting the costume?
Well, the first thing we did is we foam fabricated this whole costume. Not any different than anybody else does, but this helped us get the right proportions and scale and kind of make some adjustments in how things are going to end up fitting. And then what we did is we did a set of brush-up molds, which we did a clay press into, and then we re-sculpted everything to put all this great detail into it.
So underneath here, the basic forms are all patterned with foam.
Yeah, it was patterned with foam, and then sculpture's done, and then molded again, and then all of these armor pieces are made in a material called polyurea, which is more commonly known as truck bed liner.
Oh, okay, you're right, it's a spray.
Yeah, so you take these big giant molds, so there's a couple of places that do it here in LA, and they spray in this truck bed liner, and then it makes these really durable, pretty lightweight parts, and then we're able to paint them.
It doesn't look lightweight at all. There's a real heft to it, and I think that comes from the sculpture and also the finish.
Yeah.
Like there's detail here that from the skull, the side, to the spikes on the shoulders. Like the characters from Blizzard games have these massive physiques and massive silhouettes.
Massive pauldrons.
And it doesn't hurt that Steve here is a big guy.
Yeah, this is 6'5", and then up to here it's about 7'2". So
it's larger than life.
It's awesome.
And then there's also the finish. So the polyurea, does it come out black?
Yeah, it's a black urethane. So we prep these pieces like we do anything else. You hit them with a catalyzed primer, and then we ended up spraying them with this stuff called P-chrome. It's a hydrochrome process from Peacock Laboratories, and it's awesome. We did a whole video on that.
Yeah, we're going to go in depth in the future with some of these processes, but really building an armor, it's like a very elaborate cosplay, allows you to experiment with different processes.
Well, yeah, these are some materials that we've used before, and then just adding some of these things all together. The really tricky part is getting the heaviest piece of this armor on it. Can you guess what the heaviest part is on this guy?
Is it the helmet?
It's his cape.
The cape.
So to get a cape that drapes and flows and it's got to feel like it's like the curtains or something like that. So I wanted this really heavy fabric so that it lays really nice and has a great texture to it. You can't just pin that to your shirt. Right. You have to have a whole understructure in there. So Steve is wearing this whole harness so that the way that the cape is held is on these hooks on this harness so that it's not tugging at his armor or tugging at anywhere else. It evenly distributes all the weight. So you have to think about this infrastructure before you start putting all this stuff on there. Right.
It's not just slapping on foam. How much does the whole thing weigh, you think?
We're guessing around 30 pounds.
Yeah, 30 to 40 maybe.
Yeah, Steve's guessing 30 to 40. We haven't weighed it, but it's really not that heavy.
And is it movable? Like how much can you actually perform in this, Steve?
Pretty well. I've got a lot of, I can sit, I can stand, I can't touch my own face. That's about it.
These giant pauldrons make it hard to kind of be movable.
But everything else, can't go up, but I can go everywhere else.
And you can definitely be imposing. It's just so much sculptural detail. And also the finish here, there's frost on here.
Well, all these little icicles are made out of clear warbler, and then they're finished off with, it's like, when you build little miniature models and you glue on the little snow-looking stuff? Well, Nick went over to the hobby store and he found this stuff and we just started gluing it on over there. And then we lightly kissed it with a little bit of blue airbrush to kind of give it that frosty kind of feel.
Wow. Yeah. And there's even the paint finish on top of your hydrochrome has a little bit of mixed with metallic. You have like the little sparkles on there.
You need it to feel lived in and feel like it's got some like patina and some wear. And so we ended up smearing a lot of browns and blues and this micaceous iron oxide and all these like really great colors to make everything pop and give a little bit of definition.
And also wearing down the cape and the fabric as well.
Yep.
All those specialty costume techniques that people are using in Hollywood for films is being put into this armor. Now, in addition to the armor, you also made a prop.
Frostmourne.
Oh, This is unbelievable. Holy smokes. Can you talk a little about the process of making this sword?
This is not much different than the way that Alicia Bellamy made her Frostmourne. This was all 3D modeled. As a matter of fact, when I saw Alicia's, I said, hey, can you come help on ours? And she was able to give me a couple of days. And then Eddie took over here. You guys have met Eddie before. He's our other 3D modeler at the shop. And he finished this whole thing off. And most of this is printed.
3D printed.
3D printed. We printed the blade on that 3DP, that giant meter by meter 3D printer we have. A lot of these other parts were output on SLAs or polygets, and then we molded parts and cast them, but all of that is painted with the hydrochrome also.
That is insane. And there's so much detail here. I love the finish. You have the cut leather here. It's a great pattern, and with not only lighting effects, but also
it's got smoke in it
smoke
too.
Effects.
So Gary assembled most of this stuff, and see that little rivet right there?
Okay.
That little rivet is the button for the smoke. So we hid all the buttons in there too. So
nice. Emitting smoke, special effects.
Yes.
So you're name dropping a lot of names because you work with a big crew here.
We had about 15 people on this whole project.
15 people.
Yeah.
You want to give a couple shout outs?
Foam fabricating in the very beginning was Malachi Keller, and then Gary Krall has been with the process all the way through. Sculpting and molding and all that kind of stuff. We had our regulars here at the shop. There was Nick Bonamy, Eddie Haleko, Ben Plowman, Justin Gregory, Robert Vinter. Eddie and Gary were pretty instrumental in that sword and putting all that together. Gordon Tarpley is the one that sprayed all of the chrome on this. And then Nick and Eddie finished off all the little details and the fun stuff. Gary ended up doing all the little leather work. Lorelei Lay, who has done all of our, cut and sew stuff, like when we did the Murlocs and everything, she did all the fabric parts. And I forgot, Miss Munster Mel sculpted this pauldron.
Wow, big team effort. And of course, Steve here gets to have the fun of wearing the costume.
Yes, we've been trading off between Steve and Kirk Carley, but it's been Steve most of the time.
Huge congratulations to you and your team. Real big team effort.
Yes,
but this is costuming cosplay really taken to the next level. Thanks for having us here to check out this suit as you gear up for Comic-Con.
Yes.
And this suit may make it out to future conventions.
Yep.
People can, of course, see it in Blizzard's Hearthstone videos.
Yes.
And we'll have more in-depth process, behind-the-scenes videos about things like the hydrochroming and the brush-up molding and sculpting on tests in the future. Thanks a lot, Frank.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Lich King.
Thanks, my team.